A drugs baron has a journalist murdered in broad daylight in Dublin. The nation's shocked, the government promised action. So, is the Republic a safer place? Welcome to Counterpoint. This year, Counterpoint reported on crime in the Republic. Specifically, how easy it is to hire a gun and a gunman. Since then, Veronica Guerin, a journalist specializing in crime reporting, was murdered, apparently on the orders of a drugs dealer. Anyone who thought murdering a journalist would prove a watershed was wrong. Not least because Ireland's traditional neutrality is not respected by the likes of the international drugs trade. Chris Moore has been back to Dublin. You should be advised his report contains strong language.
This is where Jack Corbally died?
Yes. Well, we don't know whether he died. We know that he was unconscious.
How do you mean you don't know he was died?
We don't know whether he died. There. I mean, he was still breathing when the car was brought in.
So you're not going to tell me where the body is buried? No.
I don't know.
Sunday World crime reporter Paul Williams on the trail of a murder victim. Someone he knew as a criminal, but who had been very useful as a source in the past. Helping him unravel the mystery of the missing body is another informant, a man who fears he may be the next target of the gangland killer known in the criminal underworld as the Psycho. Urban Ireland is changing daily. Economic growth and tourists make Dublin, for example, one of the most popular European capitals. But behind the bustle, and in some cases just a few hundred yards away, the other Dublin. The inner city area is ravaged by crime and drug addiction, where misery is heaped on poverty, and life becomes unbearable. Drug abuse produces addicts who turn to crime to fund their habit. The drug barons mingle with the middle classes in respectable suburbia, far removed from the inner city squalor they help create. For years, the men who make millions from misery have become organized, using gangs to sell their drugs and contract killings as a means of protecting their empires. Journalist Veronica Guerin wanted to expose their world of drugs and death. They wanted her silence. Her murder shocked the nation and deeply disturbed everyone from the Taoiseach down.
We are shocked when we hear of the death of any young person. We're even more shocked when we hear that her death was the result of murder in cold blood, in broad daylight, on a roadside in Dublin.
Her murder represents a direct attack on our democracy, maybe even more than lots of other murders that we've seen, though I think all of them collectively are an attack on our democracy and on the fundamental right to freedom of speech.
My lasting memories of Veronica are much more personal than professional. She's been a friend of mine for many years, long before she became a journalist. Having said that, the quality she had as a person informed her journalism and probably helped her journalism in a way that most of the more hard-bitten journalists around, it wouldn't apply to in the same way. It's difficult to talk about her without using cliches, not saying she's lovely, sincere, very highly motivated on a personal level, and hated bullies, and had almost a naivety, in the nicest sense of that word, about her, in that she would get angry about politicians telling lies, she'd get angry about criminals, she'd get angry about corruption, in a way that more cynical journalists don't anymore.
Well, we know more about crime in our society than we did before Veronica. She's very dedicated to presenting us with a profile of Irish criminals, particularly in this city, how they work, who they exploit, what they do with their money, how arrogant they had become. And her legacy is that knowledge, that profile. And in a sense, she told us a story that the victims of crime were familiar with, but official Ireland and the Irish establishment didn't want to know about. And she pushed it onto the agenda, very high onto the agenda. And she demanded, her reportage demanded a response.
Veronica Guerin's stories hurt those who profited from crime. There were many death threats, and one previous attempt on her life which left her wounded. Her response was to increase the pressure, and a short time before her murder, she was physically attacked by a man who resented her inquiries into his background. She was due to give evidence in court about this assault when she was shot dead. Other journalists who themselves faced death threats are determined to carry on where Veronica Guerin left off.
It's a job, it's what I do, but it's also because nobody has the right to stymie or stultify, people like me telling the ordinary punter and the ordinary man in the street what's going on in this society. That's what a democratic society is about. That's what a free press is about. And no gangster with no gun is going to stop us. And I think it's a feeling of maybe, solidarity with the member, with Veronica. She was murdered for doing that. And as a member of the press in the Republic of Ireland, I feel that I have a duty to keep going, to keep telling the story. Because if these guys get away with this and they make people like me stop writing about it, stop exposing their activities, then it's time we just shut the shop up and just walk away, because democracy has totally failed us.
But on the scale of things, how do you rationalise the threat to your family's happiness? Where does that sit with what should be the public interest?
Basically, I have the support of my family and my wife and I have 2 children who are very well looked after, security-wise, both by the police and by other individuals. And I suppose it's something that we're getting used to in the past few years. I don't know where it's going to lead to, but there are sacrifices you make, and there are difficulties that you come across, but my wife, as I say, is very supportive of me, and so is the rest of my family. And they feel that, yes, I should keep going at it and keep writing about it. It's a very difficult thing to explain.
Veronica Guerin's murder was seen as an attack on free speech and has undoubtedly drawn greater public focus on those pursuing her killers.
Well, it's a long, methodical investigation. In the course of the investigation, we've interviewed 300 people, taken 1,000 statements. We've got quite a lot of information from the public. We've built up some quality intelligence. We've solved other cases, drug-related and otherwise.
Time of decision and debate. There have been comments made in the aftermath of her death that Veronica was actually trying to do something which the police should have been doing, which was to name publicly an exposed criminal.
Well, that's what she did as a journalist. As police, what our business is to acquire evidence, charge people who have been convicted before the court.
We just got a call there a few hours ago from somebody who's been working with us closely on it, and who doesn't want their identity known.
The telephone caller has told Paul Williams he has information about the murder of William Jock Corbally, a small-time criminal and the source of the Sunday World journalist who disappeared 7 months ago. Paul Williams has told the missing man's family that he will do all that he can to discover the whereabouts of the missing man.
But as I said, the police, even while this other major investigation into Veronica's murder has been going on, they've been actually working hard to find the body. Because effectively what it is at the moment is another gangland murder which hasn't even been categorised as gangland murder. Purely he's a missing person until they find the body.
Why is it so important for you that the body's found?
Paul has already discovered that the missing man has been tortured and killed in a field outside Dublin, and it's in this same area that he's arranged to meet the informant.
So you're sure this is the spot, yeah?
He was here, all right.
He was here to pick up the heroin. It was a heroin shipment, wasn't it? That's what he thought it was.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Okay. He arranged to pick up Jock, bring him here, come here to collect the gear. How much gear was there?
Hard to say. Point. The quality, you know.
Kilo? Half kilo?
Could have been a kilo, yeah.
But my information so far has been that it was a big shipment.
Yeah, but there was never nothing here.
Right, yeah, but this is what they were told it was a big shipment.
Yeah, but there was never anything.
But Jock thought this was going to be the big one.
Yeah.
Jock, is this the spot where Jock Corbally died?
Yeah, well, we don't know whether he died. We know that he was unconscious.
How do you mean you don't know he was died?
We don't know whether he died there. I mean, he was still bleeding when the car was brought in.
So you're not going to tell me where the body is buried?
No, I don't know.
While this meeting did not identify the shallow grave containing the body of Jock Corbally, information since given to Paul Williams may finally solve the mystery.
My name is Helen O'Neill, right? And Dorothy is black. My hottest son is 28 now at the moment. But he was on drugs when he was only 14 years of age. He's been locked up all his life. This is his second 7 years he's at the doing. His name is Blondie, and I'm sure a lot of people in the flat are in this place knows him, in the area knows him. So I just want to say, right, that he's dying of AIDS, right? And another thing, we don't want the kids in their flats dying of AIDS. We want the kids to have swings, which they haven't. We want the kids to have a place for them, which they haven't. Right? I don't want to see any more children dying of AIDS. And I think that we should all march.
In Dublin's north inner city, the anti-drugs movement has gathered considerable momentum. The feelings of concerned residents and parents expressed openly at public rallies.
Not only to the small puppets, but the fucking big puppets.
Down below us here you had the playground, there was the crash for kids, you had sand pits, you had monkey puzzles. The people in these flats didn't have to leave for being like this anywhere else. You were left in here all day with the people went to work, women went to work, you come back. There was a school teaching here, the local district nurse was in there. You didn't need to go anywhere, it was a beautiful flats this was. Very clean flats, all the family.
Look at the state of them today, I mean, what happened? What's going wrong here?
That's the result of drugs. Once one pusher got in here, then accumulated there. The corporation couldn't handle it. It went out of control on the corporation.
So a lot of these places were then occupied by drug dealers, the ones that are boarded up.
Most of them, the majority of them are, and still at the present moment, there is drug dealers living in here.
Really?
Yes, at the present moment. The present moment there's a girl in here dealing drugs. There's a married woman with 4 children dealing drugs.
What kind of stuff is
She's doing heroin.
And is that the one
and the rest of them is at the stopping doing it. She's just defying the people in the neighbourhood. She's going on selling it.
Do you have any worries that what you're doing, you know, I mean, you've said today already that one of the drug dealers has already described you as a vigilante. I mean, do you regard yourself as a vigilante?
There's no such thing as vigilantes. We're all concerned parents around here. We had a meeting last week, a march last week. There was 2,000 people at the march. And maybe I'm not a leader of them. That's who counts. It's the people who come out last. And we hope to have a bigger crowd this coming Thursday. And they're the people. That's the people who matters. You don't mind know what they're saying. You hear these jumpers on the road and the drug pushers. They criticise Anthony. They'll say Anthony about us.
Yeah.
Because we're stopping the legal trade.
Well, tell me, how much money, in actual fact, do you know how much money one of these drug dealers would make, say, in a week or a day?
Well, one report was up like one particular man lost £70,000 just out of this complex alone. In a day, in a week?
Well, in a week.
70,000 times.
Yeah, I'm saying that there could be 5 or 6 fellas working in this flat by him alone. So there might be, just 30 odd people living in it. I'm saying they're all drug pushers. But some of them are still drug pushers. And they'd be working for the babies. And they'd be getting that sort of, what they would be getting, it'd be £400 or £500 a week off them.
And if you look out here right now, and you look around the flats in this square, you know that at least one of these properties is still a drug dealer selling heroin.
Yes. Well, at the moment there is. And since defying all marches, they came into these flats last week. 2,500 people came into these flats last week. And that's didn't deter from selling the drugs. They still are. It's just out last night, even while we were present in this flat. And that's why we're not vigilantes. We're concerned parents.
We can't make this a drug-free zone. What do we want?
With feelings running high against drug pushers, these public meetings often end with a march to the home of someone suspected of being involved in the drug trade. But not everyone in the anti-drugs movement approves of this type of street action.
Some of these public meetings that have been taking place about the drug issue have resulted in names of alleged drug dealers being read out at these meetings. And for those individuals, it means that they're being asked to leave their homes and to leave the area in which they've lived. Is there not a danger here that
well, the meeting you're referring to was not an ICON meeting. Okay, it was not a meeting called by ICON. And at none of our ICON meetings has that ever happened, and we would not want that to happen, and we would not facilitate a meeting that would happen. Members of ICON would have been asked to speak at meetings where that might have happened, and what we would be doing there is trying to push the kind of peaceful, non-violent approach and the approach of the organisation of tenants associations in doing so. As I say, that hasn't been our propaganda to name people and to blacklist people.
Is that because you have a concern that that's one step removed from some kind of mob law?
I would have a concern that it would be very difficult to control something like that, and it would be, people's history, people might have been dealing in the past, they might be clean now, they might not be dealing now, and you have to take into account that people have changed. Sources of information can get confused. I think something like that could be detrimental to
have already been beaten, who, to my knowledge, have all been addicts. And we have already recognised within the community that an addict who sells for to feed his own habit should be helped rather than be beaten up. And inevitably, that type of policy will lead to a driving underground of the problem, and where people are accessible and that we can somehow perhaps try and get them treatment. If they go underground, you're giving up on them, and that's it.
Just 2 nights ago in Dublin's Tala district, a standoff developed after a couple, targeted by an anti-drugs group, claimed they were the victims.
Like, I go forward with other people and then we come back, you know what I mean? We come back to the house and I see people coming in with me, you know what I mean? Other people are on drugs and they're saying like they're going in buying drugs on me.
Why don't you knock it out to the 5 on Thursday and ask all the addicts that's on it? There's about 50 or 60 addicts on it. Ask them are we selling drugs and I'll bet you they'll tell you now.
We are not vigilantes, we are the community under siege from the like of these people. It's been going on for years. Every dog on the street knows who these people are. When we went up to that house tonight, they were well prepared for us. They were screaming, we were screaming. It goes on. What we want to do is point the finger at these people and let the whole community who haven't come on board yet know that these are the people who are selling heroin to our children.
Are you afraid?
I'm fucking terrified. I have 3 kids. Like, more or less, they're going to come through my window now. What am I to do about my kids? It's bad enough having this habit on your shoulder, then have them on your other shoulder.
In Dublin's south side, meanwhile, tenants of St Teresa's flats patrol the complex using walkie-talkies. In the past year, they have even used video cameras to gather evidence of alleged drug dealing.
This particular gentleman is the one we're watching. He's now approaching another man in the middle of the street. You see him approaching now and have a word with him. He's now asking if he wants any stuff, so he's bringing him back to where his friend is. As they arrive there, the guy in the black leather jacket will taste some heroin. And he's satisfied, and the deal goes down. The money changes hands. This particular thing goes on 15, 20 times an hour. That's it now, isn't it?
He's tasting it there,
Yeah,
make sure he's
that's
getting
it
the real
now,
thing.
yeah.
And this chap in the white, he lived in your estate in the flats and you wanted to get rid of it.
That's correct, yeah. We were investigating for a number of weeks. We approached him and told him this. He denied everything, any knowledge of stealing drugs. So we let him off the hook, a lot of people say, but then we got the evidence we needed, and the next thing we brought him to a meeting, we just asked him to leave the complex.
Okay, that's all. We're going to the front block now, right? What? We're just going to the front block. There's nothing happening down here anyway.
How do you answer the criticism from some who would say that what you're doing is you're picking on the weak when really the strong, the people who are making the big money from the sale of drugs and heroin are being left alone?
So the three people that you mentioned, the main pushers, the big guys, they're the ones using these people. You know that. But it's the people that's bringing into the flats is these people that we want to get rid of. If we move away from the flats, they'll have to go somewhere else here. That's the way we look at it. We're still keeping our complex clean of drugs. That's their only aim at the moment.
Do you have any sympathy with the current movement where perhaps a concerned parent sees his or her child at risk of heroin abuse and perhaps addiction when the pusher lives in the same street? Do you have any sympathy with the movement to remove the pusher from that particular community?
Well, first of all of us who are involved in the anti-drugs movement are involved in order to create a better society for our children, in order to ensure that they don't go on heroin. But I feel that the current drift in policy, which seems to be emanating from many inner city, particularly black complexes, seems to be to push the addicts, which is invariably the people that they will push out, rather than the big pushers. Push them out into the wider community and fragment the whole focus of our attention, which has been to get them treatment. If you push them out and break up the families, you're actually making it more difficult to solve the problem.
We were forced to take to the streets because we couldn't stand around and look at our children being deprived of their natural raising and being brought into the community. Right?
About 25 minutes ago, a guy was pulling into the apartment block behind us and he was shot dead. I believe two guys in the pillion passenger got off, two guys in the motorbike shot the victim 4 times in the head. Very much, we don't even know who the guy is yet, but it's very definitely a gangland killing. It was very professional. As I say, he shot four shots to the head. We think at the moment, in a grouping, it's just another night in Dublin. This is another gangland killing, just another one, you know.
The motive may have been different, but the result was the same. Like Veronica Guerin, Michael Brady was brutally gunned down in a city where a hired gun is all too easy to secure. The outcome is a society living in a climate of fear and anxiously looking for strong measures to allow the state authorities to regain control of the streets.